All right, so yesterday we focused on scatter plots and trend lines by hand. Today we're going to work on scatter plots using a graphing calculator. In order to do that, we're going to talk a little bit about the word scatter and where did the word scatter plot come from? How did it come to be in mathematics? So it says, look at the formal definition of scatter on the board. Take a minute and think about this definition. How can the definition of scatter help you remember the difference between a scatter plot and the graph of any linear equation? So 2.1 through 2.4 were all about graphing lines. We were given a slope and a point. We might have been given 2 points and constructed slope. Now we're making scatter plots. So the word scatter means to throw loosely about, distribute at irregular intervals, to separate and drive off in various directions, disperse. So how do those definitions relate to a scatter plot in mathematics? So go ahead and write down like a sentence or two to how you think the definition of scatter relates to the actual scatter plots we drew yesterday. All right. So when I look at this definition and I think about the word scatter, to me a scatter plot is exactly that. It's a bunch of points all thrown together on a page, kind of creating this relationship between them. So mathematics, as you know, it is kind of changing as you continue to take mathematics courses. And you take stats or you take calc. Those AP classes involve writing. So what we're doing this year is kind of introducing you to writing in mathematics, reading for understanding, and kind of increasing our vocab. So again, a scatter plot is a line of regression. We modeled data with linear functions. You're going to be able to take real world data and construct a linear equation today using a graphing calculator. So in order to be able to do that, we need to increase our vocabulary. So some new words is a regression line. So yesterday we drew in lines of best fit or trend lines. So those are lines that we get whenever we construct a line by hand. A regression line is the line we get when we construct that line of best fit using a graphing calculator. So a regression line comes from a graphing calculator. A correlation coefficient is a unit of measure that shows how well data is modeled by a linear equation. It values range from -1 to 1. So again, the values range from -1 to 1. And then we have R values. So there are three kind of definitions that go with the value of R. We have R values close to -1. We have R values close to 0. And then we have R values close to +1. And each of those R values kind of tells us something different about the data. So if the R value is close to 0, there is no data correlation. If it is close to -1, then we say it has a negative correlation. And if it is close to +1, then we say it has a strong positive correlation. Okay? So what we're going to do now is look at our graphing calculators, and we are going to use our graphing calculators to help us graph these types of equations. So I'm going to use kind of like my graphing calculator and do this with you side by side. So what you want to do is on your graphing calculator, we're going to turn them on. And the first thing you're going to do is you are going to go to edit. So we are going to be editing our data today. So editing is going to be under the stat button. So the stat button is to the left kind of our arrows. And again, bear with me 2 seconds trying to pull up. All right. There we go. Try. I know I can pin it so that I'm spotlighted. All right. So you're going to have to bear with me. It won't let me spotlight. We'll just do this. So under your graphing calculator, again, you are going to click the word stat. It's right here on your graphing calculator. So that's going to take you to a page that looks like this. That page then says edit at the top. So you are going to hit enter on edit. And you'll notice that I have a bunch of data in my graphing calculator. That is the same data that is on your notes guide. So what you want to do is enter all of this data into L1 and L2. So L1 is the top data across. It's the X values. It is the period of time. The Y values is the income. So you're going to enter that data down L2. Okay, so one thing you need to take note of when you enter in your data is that when you're done entering your data, both lists have to have an equal number of points. So like my L1 and L2 can't be uneven. So you'll notice that 2002 matches up with the last data in the table, just like it matches up with my data here. Okay, the next thing we're going to do, so after you enter all of your data in, we are now going to calculate the regression line. So you're going to hit second and go to quit or mode so that you get back to your home screen. Now mine has a whole bunch of stuff on it, so I could hit clear right here, and that will clear out all of my screen. So now you'll notice that my screen is blank. I sometimes just like to have a blank screen when I'm doing data points like this. Once you have cleared your screen, you're going to hit the word stat again. So you're going to go into stat as again. Now you're going to be back on that same screen that has the edit. This time we're going to arrow to the right to calculate. And we are looking for the linear regression. So we're going to go down to option 4, which is lin reg, and hit enter. Now, if you have a newer calculator like mine, you have to actually arrow all the way down to calculate. If you're using one of the older calculators like the black ones, then you can just hit enter one more time. And then what you should notice is that you get an A and a B. Now, we talked about the R value. The first time we set this up, our calculators don't calculate R. So we're going to have to do a little bit of manipulating right now so our calculators show us the R value. So what you're going to do is you're going to hit the word second. And then you're going to go all the way down to 0 for catalog. And you're going to notice that your screen has like ABS and angle. These are all the different functionalities of your calculator. You need to arrow all the way down to the letter D. And we're going to go to diagnostic. And you'll see it says off and on. We need to turn the diagnostics on. So we're going to arrow all the way down to diagnostic on. And then you're going to hit the enter key on the bottom of your calculator. So then that should pop up at the top of your screen. You're going to hit enter. It's going to tell you done. Now, if you hit the arrow key on your calculator, it'll take you back up to everything you've done previously. So now we want to go back to the linear regression we previously calculated and hit enter again. And then one more time. And now you'll notice I have way more information than I did the last time. So now I have an R value of 0.996. So that R value is really, really, really close to the number 1. So what we're going to do is talk about, okay, what does that R value mean in terms of my actual questions about this linear regression? So going back, oops, so zoomed in now. I can take that A and B value and I can write an equation that represents the linear regression. So again, I can take the A and B value from my calculator and write that linear regression equation. So part A was use a graphic calculator to make the scatter plot. Part B, write the equation for the linear regression. Part C says use the equation to predict the median income in 2015. So in order to make that prediction, you have to take 2015, which is a year. Which variable represents years, X or Y? In this table, which one did we treat as the X values, the years or the income? It's our years. Yeah, it's our X. Our years is our X. Thank you. So what we're going to do is plug in 2015 for X. So you take 1,349.87 times 2015 minus 2,650,748. And hopefully you get 69,213.93. So again, you'll notice I consistently use 2 decimal places. We're talking about money. When we talk about money, giving change, income, everything's 2 decimal places. Okay, so what I want to do is try this one more time. So if you flip your handout and notes over, what you'll notice is that there is another example on the back, and there are the steps to find the linear regression on the right. So I actually, every step we took together, I typed out for you. And then this time we're actually going to take it one step further. And we are going to graph this on a graphing calculator. So go ahead, hit stat, go to edit, type over your data. Never ever hit the word delete on L1 or L2. They'll go away. And the only way to fix them is to reset your calculator. If you want to clear the data, you can hit clear, but never hit delete. If you deleted L1 or L2, you need to let me know because I need to reset your calculator. Oh, me, oh my. Okay, so guys, here's what you're going to do. You're going to hit the word second. You're going to hit the plus sign. So you should be on this memory screen. Then you need to go down to reset. and all RAM, and then reset, and hit enter. I hope. If not, it's the other steps. So now go to your stat, or L1 and L2 back. Are you good, Jake? All right, so once again, you should have your data in your calculator. The points on the left need to match the points on the right. Once our data's in, we're going to hit the word stat. We're going to arrow over to calculate. And then you're going to go down to option 4, which is linear regression. You want X list to be L1. You want the Y list to be L2. And then if you have this newer calculator, you're in luck. So you're going to go down here to store regression equation. So if you have a newer calculator like this and you have this store option, you're going to follow these steps with me. You're going to hit the word vars. Sorry. Now you're going to go arrow over after you hit vars to y vars. You're going to hit enter on function. And then you're going to hit enter on Y1. So your screen should now look like this. XList L2 store reg EQ Y1. Now you're going to hit calculate. Oh man, where's my boys that I just had you reset your calculator? You lost your diagnostics. Okay. I forgot when you did that. So you have to go back to the second, the 0, and then go all the way down to diagnostics. So, hold on one second. Let me fix my calculator. Okay. So, you need to go to calculate. So again, like the steps are typed over here. So let's go back through this one more time. After you've entered your data, so are we at the enter? After you've entered your data, here's what you're going to do. You're going to hit the stat button. So after you've entered your data, you hit the stat button. Then you are going to arrow over to calculate. So you're going to hit the arrow key and you're going to change it so it says calc at the top. Anytime you do that, you're going to go down to option 4 for right now because we're in linear regression. So you arrow down to 4 or you hit the number 4. That changes your screen to this. You should have L1, L2, and then we need to store the reg EQ. So that's the directions if you're looking to store it. That is the button vars. So you go down to reg EQ, hit vars, go to y vars, and hit enter on function and enter on Y1. So your screen should look like that. Then you calculate. And now you should have an A, a B, and an R. So my equation, answering this question over here for part B, find an equation of the line of linear regression. That would be y equals negative 2.390x plus 4823.051. So we like to do 3 decimals. Then it says use the equation to predict the percent of sales for a music store in 2014. So again, y equals negative 2.39 2014 plus 4823.051. Now, if you stored this equation appropriately, you should be able to hit y equals, and your equation should be in your graph. So you should be able to hit y equals, and there should be an equation in there. If you have the older calculators, unfortunately, you have to type that out. To see the plots or the boxes, you're going to highlight plot 1 and hit enter. So you'll notice now my plot 1 is darkened. What that's going to do is that's going to put these data points on my graphing calculator. Like we hand graphed the points yesterday. You're going to hit zoom. Now we're doing stats type things, hence the stat edit. So you're going to go down to option 9 and hit zoom stat. And it will graph your data to the lines of best fit. Do you see how the trend line they drew in is very similar to the trend lines we tried to draw yesterday, with an equal number of points above, below, and on? My R value was a negative 0.96, like 0.96. That number is pretty close to negative 1. So this data has a strong negative correlation. I could use my calculator to find me that missing value. So just to tell you what the answer is for your paper. In 2014, it was predicted to be 8.98. So again, your homework for the weekend is 4 problems on the graphing calculator doing this same type of idea, using it to make predictions. The questions are the same questions you actually did by hand. So what you're going to do is go back and compare your by hand equation to the equation you get on the graphing calculator. So it's going to reference the homework from yesterday today. Have a wonderful Halloween. Be safe, be smart, stay healthy.